There are people you cannot forget. No matter how far you move, how much you grow, or how fiercely you try to bury their name, they remain. They appear in dreams, in songs you didn't mean to play, in the quiet moments between exhaustion and sleep, not as ghosts, but as mirrors, showing you the part of yourself you still refuse to see. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." But what he didn't say, what we only learn in silence, is that some people don't just irritate us, they haunt us, because they hold the key to the unfinished story within us. The people you can't let go of are not mistakes. They are teachers, not in the way of classrooms or wisdom shared over time, but in the way of wounds, how they press against your soul until you finally listen. Sometimes it's the lover who left without explanation. Sometimes the friend whose betrayal cut too deep. Sometimes the parent whose absence became your first lesson in emptiness. We think we're trying to move on from them, but really, we are trying to escape from what they awakened in us. We don't fear the person. We fear the reflection, because every bond that lingers beyond reason, every attachment that defies closure, is not about another person at all. It is a message from the shadow, the unseen, unaccepted, unhealed part of who we are. And until we face that part, we repeat the pattern. We fall for the same type of person, fight the same invisible battle, bleed from the same unhealed wound, just wearing new faces each time. Jung believed that the soul is not broken, but divided, a light that has forgotten where its shadow falls. And those who awaken that shadow are not here to comfort you. They are here to reveal you. This is not punishment. It is initiation. The people you cannot let go of are the threshold, the moment before awakening. They come to remind you, healing does not begin when you forget. It begins when you remember and no longer run. In the stillness of your pain lies a doorway, and beyond it, the truth of who you are waiting in the dark, patiently, for you to turn toward it. The awakening. We live in an age that worships distraction. When pain surfaces, we scroll. When emptiness rises, we post. When silence arrives, we fill it. We call it healing, but it's escape in disguise. We are taught to move on, to stay positive, to focus on what's next. Yet no one tells us that running from pain only builds the wall higher. No one tells us that avoidance is a slow death of the soul. Carl Jung. Philosophy reminds us that what we repress does not disappear. It waits. It gathers strength in the dark corridors of the unconscious, until one day it returns. In the face of a stranger who feels too familiar, in a moment of rage you can't explain, in a love that feels both divine and destructive. You see, the modern self is built on repression. We have mastered the art of pretending. We smile at funerals of dreams, we laugh over our loneliness, and we call the numbness peace. But peace that demands silence of the heart is not peace. It's paralysis. Somewhere along the way, we decided that feeling deeply was weakness, that sensitivity was a flaw, that vulnerability was dangerous. So we built walls, mirrors, and masks. And we began to lose the language of authenticity. Look closely. We wear the mask of the achiever to hide the fear of failure. The mask of the calm one to avoid showing rage. The mask of the kind one to bury resentment. The mask of the lover to conceal abandonment. But beneath every mask, a truth trembles. A truth that wants to breathe again. When you meet someone who touches that hidden place, who pulls the pain you've kept buried, You feel both drawn and terrified. You call it love, or obsession, or heartbreak. But in truth, it's the soul recognizing its mirror. That's why you can't let go, because deep down, you know, this person has reached the part of you no one else has ever touched, the part you have spent a lifetime hiding, even from yourself. And so, the struggle begins. You fight between two instincts, the instinct to heal and the instinct to hide, the instinct to face and the instinct to flee. Your mind says, forget them. Your soul whispers, but they're the key. And you are torn between the two worlds, the world of illusion and the world of truth. At night, when everything quiets, their memory returns like a reflection in still water. You see not just them, but the ache they awakened, the ache of abandonment, the ache of not being enough, the ache of love withheld. We keep calling it heartbreak, but heartbreak is only the surface symptom. The real fracture lies deeper, in the broken bridge between who you show the world and who you truly are. We numb it with busyness, disguise it with laughter, bury it under accomplishments. But still, it hums beneath everything we do. A quiet note of longing, a gravity that pulls us back toward what we've lost. Jung Philosophy says the shadow is not evil, it is unrealized potential. The anger you repress is your strength untamed. The sadness you deny is your capacity to love without armor. The jealousy you hide is your hunger for authenticity. And so the struggle isn't about forgetting someone. It's about remembering what they revealed and daring to stay in that revelation long enough to learn. Because pain, when faced, becomes a teacher. But pain, when avoided, becomes destiny. The people you can't let go are not your jailers. They are your mirrors. And what you see in them is the part of you still asking to be seen. The struggle. There is a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when you stop chasing the past and start listening to what it's been trying to tell you. That moment is the beginning of revelation. Jung Philosophy teaches that what we call fate is often just the unexamined life repeating itself. The people we are drawn to, the wounds that reappear, the mistakes that echo. They are not accidents. They are patterns. And every pattern is a message from the unconscious, asking for recognition. You do not attract who you want. You attract who you are. Or more precisely, you attract the parts of yourself you have not yet faced. Every person who moves you deeply carries a fragment of your shadow. They mirror your hidden strengths and buried wounds. They awaken what you've denied. And in that awakening lies the possibility of becoming whole. Wholeness is not perfection. It is the sacred union of opposites. Light and dark, courage and fear, reason and emotion. The human soul, Jung said, is a tapestry woven from contradiction. The goal is not to cut the dark threads, but to learn how they complete the pattern. That is the essence of integration. To no longer reject what once frightened you. To see that your anger is the mask of your unloved grief. That your jealousy is the echo of your abandoned worth. That your desire for control is the fear of disappearing. And when you finally sit with these truths, not to judge, not to fix, but simply to understand, something miraculous happens. You begin to soften. You begin to forgive. You begin to see that the person who hurt you was just as lost, just as human, just as divided. The revelation of the shadow is not that darkness exists, but that it belongs. Light alone blinds us. Darkness alone consumes us. But together, they reveal depth, texture, meaning. The moon is nothing but rock without the sun. The sun is invisible without the night. In the same way, your pain gives shape to your compassion. Your mistakes carve space for your wisdom. And so, the people who broke you didn't come to destroy you. They came to dismantle the illusion that you were ever whole without your brokenness. Jung Philosophy reminds us that the shadow is not something to kill, but something to integrate. Every emotion you repress becomes a splinter in the psyche. It festers, distorts, and manipulates your choices. But when you name it, when you say, "Yes, this too is me," the splinter dissolves into understanding. It's not easy, because seeing the shadow is seeing the truth of your life without filters. It means admitting that you were complicit in your suffering, that you stayed in certain relationships, not because you were trapped, but because they mirrored what you believed you deserved, that you held on to people not out of love, but out of fear of facing the emptiness they filled. Yet this is where healing truly begins, not in forgetting the past, but in reclaiming the self that got lost in it. In this revelation, forgiveness takes a new form. It is no longer an act of moral superiority. It is an act of integration. You forgive because you understand. You understand because you have seen. You see that the same fear that made them hurt you is the fear that makes you cling. That the same blindness that made them leave is the blindness that makes you repeat. And in that mirror, compassion is born. This is what Jung meant by individuation, the journey of becoming your true self by reconciling with all that you are, the saint and the sinner, the lover and the wounded child, the wisdom and the chaos. When these parts finally meet, you stop fighting life. You start living it. The revelation is simple but never easy. Healing is not about letting go of people. It's about letting go of the illusion that they were the missing piece. Because they were never meant to complete you. They were meant to reveal you. And once you see that, the hold they have on you begins to dissolve, not through force, but through understanding. You no longer chase closure. You become it. The revelation understanding is only the beginning. Awareness without embodiment is like light trapped behind glass. Beautiful, but it changes nothing. To integrate the shadow, to truly transform, you must walk into what you once fled. Jung Philosophy calls this the process of individuation, not becoming better, but becoming real. The shadow does not vanish through willpower or denial. It dissolves only when it is met with courage and compassion. Courage, because it means facing what you've buried. Compassion, because what you find will not always be beautiful. Transformation begins the moment you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" The people who wounded you showed you the edges of your soul. The betrayal revealed your lack of boundaries. The rejection exposed your hunger for approval. The heartbreak unveiled your attachment to illusions. Every encounter becomes sacred when seen through the eyes of awareness. You begin to realize, no one is your enemy, only your mirror. No one is your savior, only your reflection. In daily life, shadow work doesn't look dramatic. It looks ordinary. It's the moment you catch yourself blaming and pause instead to ask, "What am I avoiding?" It's when you feel jealousy and whisper, "What desire have I neglected?" It's when you feel anger and recognize it as unspoken grief. The practice is humility. To accept that you too are capable of everything you despise, that within you lives the coward, the liar, the manipulator, the fool, and the more you accept this truth, the less power it holds over you. This is how the shadow transforms from an enemy into an ally. It becomes the compass pointing toward your forgotten wholeness. But integration also demands solitude. You must sit in silence long enough to hear the faint voice beneath the noise, the one that says, "This is who I truly am." In solitude, you begin to see that every relationship is a reflection of your relationship with yourself. The more you hide from your wounds, the more life will send mirrors to reveal them. But the moment you turn inward and embrace what is dark, the world outside begins to soften. Love becomes less about possession and more about presence. Conflict becomes less about control and more about understanding. Failure becomes less about shame and more about truth. Because once you integrate the shadow, you no longer live reactively. You live consciously. Carl Jung. Philosophy reminds us that integration is a spiritual act disguised as psychological work. It requires radical honesty, the willingness to see how you perpetuate your suffering, the discipline to stay present with discomfort, and the grace to forgive yourself for being human. You begin to notice a subtle shift. You no longer chase people to fill your emptiness. You no longer seek validation to silence your insecurity. You no longer confuse pain with love, because you have met the part of you that was always seeking, and you have given it a home. This is the quiet revolution, not the one the world applauds, but the one your soul feels. Healing is not an explosion. It's a soft unfolding. It's choosing to respond differently today than you did yesterday. It's saying, "I understand why this hurts, but I will not abandon myself again." And that is the essence of transformation, not erasing your past, but alchemizing it. The fire that once burned you becomes the light that guides you. The people who once shattered you become the ones who shaped your awakening, and what was once your shadow becomes your strength. You begin to live as if nothing was wasted, because nothing was. The transformation. At some point, the storm inside you quiets, not because you forced it to end, but because you stopped resisting the rain. You begin to notice small moments of peace, a morning sun spilling softly across your face, a silence that no longer feels empty, a memory that returns without pain. That is the sign. You have met your shadow and learned its language. You no longer fight your reflection. You understand it. The people you once couldn't let go of still exist, but they no longer hold you. Their faces, their words, their absence, all become part of a larger truth. They were never the story. They were the doorway. Jung Philosophy tells us that the goal of life is not happiness, but wholeness. And wholeness is born when you can sit beside your own darkness without flinching, when you can feel sorrow without drowning, and love without needing to possess. You begin to see that forgiveness is not something you give others. It's something you give the parts of yourself that didn't know better. You forgive the version of you that stayed too long, the one that chased, the one that believed love meant suffering, because you see now, you were not broken, you were becoming. The people you couldn't let go didn't arrive to complete you. They arrived to awaken you, to show you where love was still conditional, where self-worth was still borrowed, where courage had yet to bloom. And once the lesson is learned, the attachment dissolves naturally, like fog lifting from the morning hills. This is what peace feels like. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of understanding. You no longer seek to control the story. You trust its rhythm. You realize that every ending was simply a beginning in disguise, that every heartbreak was a form of grace, and that love, real love, was never about holding on. It was about becoming whole enough to let go. Jung Philosophy whispers through the echo of it all. What you have integrated cannot haunt you. What you have loved cannot destroy you. And what you have understood sets you free. So let the memories rest. Let the ghosts fade gently into wisdom. And when you stand before the mirror of your life, you will see not what you've lost, but who you have finally become. You, the union of shadow and light, the student who became the teacher, the wound that became the way. The echo,